Yep, let's talk about it. Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte. I'm Jason Aponte. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. That had to be one of the more frustrating losses that I can remember in a long time. And when people use the term like total team loss, that's absolutely a total team loss. It's all phases that didn't show up today. All three phases. The offense moved the ball, but you fumble the football, Christian McCaffrey. You throw 2 interceptions, Brock Purdy. You miss field goals. Your defense can't get off the field on third down. Your pass rush got 0 sacks today. It's a good thing Nick Bosa dropped those pictures, though. Happy for him for that. But that's about as frustrating a loss as there is as a 49er fan. 100%. I mean, sitting there and looking at it, the one thing that maybe can comfort you is you can't point at one thing and say it was just that. It was everything. And when you get the missed field goal and you get a chance to get down the field and score at the end of the game, you have to feel good. You haven't seen Brock in those moments a lot. And that last throw was just awful. The first interception you can probably look at and say, "Hey, listen, the route was off, the timing was off." Okay, that's fine. Like I think you can justify it, but the way it was so far off, I don't even know if Jennings still would have been able to catch that. Yeah. I want 49er fans to prepare themselves, right? And I want to have an honest conversation with everybody. The 49ers just lost to primetime Kirk Cousins without Justin Jefferson and without any semblance of a run game. Now, us as 49ers fans, when we look at other teams, and how they perform, for so many weeks we kept saying, well, the Eagles haven't looked so good while they're winning. Well, this team hasn't looked so good. Prepare for the slander. And we have to start evaluating this team the same way that we evaluate other teams, right? What I mean is, excuse me, as 49ers fans, the Eagles can win a game and we'll say, well, they barely beat them. Or, oh, haha, they lost to Zach Wilson and the Jets. I don't know if they're like that. Well, you have to start looking at the 49ers that way as well, too. The Minnesota Vikings, with no running back, starting Dalton Risner instead of Ezra Cleveland at guard. Kirk Cousins in primetime. All of those things, right now, you need to be truthful with yourself. We laugh at the Cowboys, we laugh at the Eagles, we laugh at all these teams when they struggle with other teams, even if they walk away with the win. But you can't not hold your team accountable in the same way. This is very much going to be an episode about keep that same energy. Because all we ever talk about with the Eagles is, well, they barely scraped by this team. Well, they lost to this team. Well, the Cowboys haven't really beat anybody. But then your team goes out there and lays a complete egg on primetime against Kirk Cousins. 0 sacks, penalty after penalty, unforced errors like the fumble, the interception. You're never going to win a game when you turn the ball over 3 times. You're never going to win a game like that. Nothing about this game is something that you can point to and say, that was good. This is what I thought was good. For the most part of this game, Brock Purdy was good. The offense was good. But when you fumble in the red zone, again, Christian McCaffrey, who scored 2 touchdowns today, and listen, is what it is. I guess that's what you really should be like saying that was good. But when you see how the offense was operating, they were operating fine. And then you're not finishing. So you're not finishing. You're not getting any stops on third down. Largely, the Vikings stopped themselves on offense, if that makes any sense. Like that third down stop, that was a wide open throw missed. I don't know why they decided to go for the field goal there. I don't know. This is about as embarrassing as it gets in terms of not playing well in any facet. In any facet. Like, not special teams, not offense, not defense. Nothing. Nothing was good. So if you want to take solace in something, coaching wasn't good. Steve Wilkes, right before the half, what's that call? 0 blitz, 17 seconds? Call something similar, so something easy, and you actually can yeah, you can actually like get away like from this, right? Like you can get away and get out of the half. The half. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's it's frustrating. I Okay. So let's talk about the pass rush because we we have largely, Andrew and I, many people, we largely have said, hey, the pressures are there, it's coming, it's coming. Today, it I'm sure that we're going to look to next gen stats and we're going to look at PFF and we're going to find a bunch of pressures, but it certainly felt like nothing at all, ever, right? Like at all. We need to start asking questions now. This defensive line is supposed to be cleaning up any concerns you have in the secondary, but they're not getting home. So tomorrow, what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of tweets about pressure rate, how many pressures, all of those things. All of those things are going to happen. And here's the disconnect, at least for me this time. Other times, I can point to times where the ball came out quickly or it moved in a way because you were actually putting pressure on the quarterback. But today, it felt like nothing at all. None. Kirk Cousins had an answer for everything. And I want to give him a lot of credit too as well because a lot of 49er fans talk crazy about him. He was the better quarterback today. Look me in my eye when I say it. Kirk Cousins was better than Brock Purdy today. And just imagine if Justin Jefferson played in this game. Shouldn't be hard for you to admit that either. So you can give credit to Kirk Cousins. You can give credit to Kevin O'Connell. But man, that pass rush, now I'm officially on the other side of this argument. I am completely on the other side of this argument now. Don't give me the pressure rates. Do not give me how many pressures they had. None of that mattered. And this is the disconnect. Film and stats. Right? Film and stats. Stats should back up what you see on film. There are going to be no stats that back up anything that I saw on film today. Kirk Cousins was dicing this team, was comfortable, got the ball to his people, was the better quarterback today. Shout out to everybody in here. We almost got 300 people in here. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. A lot of content coming. Sprint red option tomorrow, bully ball tomorrow. A lot of stuff. We got to jam it into a week now that it's Monday. But let's get to some of these super chats. James says, Jesus left Purdy for Cousins. At least James has a sense of humor. I like that. Gregory Young, the defense was terrible. Mad Cousins looks like the league MVP. Disgusting. He looked really good today. Neil says, devastated right now. Scorpio season. That's right, Scorpio, November 5th, boy. Put your hand up. Rigger 49er, we got to be real. Purdy choked 2 bad picks. I don't know if Purdy choked. But he played well for a good portion of the game, and he threw two very bad picks. Um, the Steve Wilkes thing is a bit perplexing. It almost felt like guessing. Like, well, maybe if I do this, well, maybe it's like there were never answers. It always kind of felt like with D'Amico, you had a guy who was gathering information and then could make decisions and adjustments after. And credit D'Amico, he always did, right? Now, it kind of just feels like it's trust the process, right? Like, oh, well, we're just going to keep doing this and this and this. The thing is this, when people say, well, I want adjustments, well, what are the adjustments you want, right? Like early in the game, the man coverage seems to be working on the first play, on the first drive, you get the interception. That worked. And then you go back to the zone thing. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is at this point. Do you blitz more? No, because now you're going to be exposed on the back end. I don't think many people on this team, on this defense, had very good games, especially in the secondary, particularly whether it's penalties or just outright getting beat. I think there were so many fluke things that happened in this game, like the Ward interception that didn't happen at the end of the half. Who knows what this game looks like with that? And the reason that I'm not talking about Jake Moody is because the 49ers didn't lose by 2 or 3. So it's inconsequential that he missed that kick. But when you look at the way this game went and how it was there in front of the 49ers and how it unfolded, it's in it's completely it's completely hard to explain. Now, I don't want to make grand sweeping statements. I don't want to, make harsh opinions, anything like that. But it's hard to digest this one when everything seems to be in the 49ers' favor. Christian McCaffrey looked fine today from the oblique injury. Do they miss Debo that much? Did they miss Trent that much? I think they missed Trent a lot. You weren't able to run to the left side. I did think that it was kind of encouraging that you didn't really hear Jalen Moore's name being called all game. I think when I get a chance to watch the film, I'll look back and I'll be able to evaluate the offensive line. I never really felt like the offensive line was being crushed. I think Purdy, I think Purdy made some good plays, especially with his legs and getting out of the pocket and maneuvering. I thought that was good. But yeah, this team is going to need a real gut check because that Cincinnati Bengals team that's coming next week isn't that team from week 1, and they're off a bye. So it's very possible. Hey, Joe Burrow might be back. T. Higgins is going to play. You are about to go up against weapons that are much better and an offense that's very similar. Stefanski, whatever. Stefanski, O'Connell, Zach Taylor, Shanahan. They're all similar, very similar. Those skill players are better. So the 49ers have a gut check time right now for them. I I I really don't know what to say. Like, I'm not gonna get all angry and upset because this felt like it was a total team loss, and it's something that at least you can point to and say, "Hey, it wasn't the offense, it wasn't the defense, it wasn't the special team, it wasn't the coaching, it was all of it. It's everything. It's all of it." Let's see. Rigger 49er. Why wouldn't you call it a choke? We've been waiting for this moment from Purdy, the ball in his hands to win the game, and he threw the game away. I wouldn't call it a choke. I mean, look, the thing is this circumstances are in football games are weird, right? Christian McCaffrey doesn't fumble on that first drive. They score a touchdown. Things go completely different, right? Completely different. Charvarius Ward finishes that play. There is no long Jordan Addison touchdown, right? So there's ways to look at this and say, hey, that wasn't a great throw, and it wasn't. But this team was selling early on in this game in many ways. And there's many factors as to why the game goes that way. The 3 points really doesn't matter at this point. Like the missed field goal from Moody, who cares? Like he made the other one, that's good. But they didn't lose by 2, so it really didn't matter. I think you should be more disturbed with the fact that the game should have never been there because it was in your hands. And it's just weird to me, like about like how so many weird things were happening. And that's why you kind of always felt like, hey, 49ers get their chance. They're gonna and I understand, hey, you want your franchise quarterback to finish the game. Sure. I get that. I completely get that. But when I look at this game as a whole, you always had to you always have to look at it like there were so many things, right? Missed field goal, fumble, that fluke touchdown from Addison. Yeah. Um, all of those things lead to a loss. So yeah, of course you want to have the guy. Look, I don't want to talk about the field goal because I've already told you guys how I feel about the kicker and that pick. I think now people are starting to come around to it. I think people now are starting to say, "Oh, what a mispick." It was a mispick the day he was drafted. It will be a mispick for every single day after. For every single day after. And it's not about Jake Moody. It is about positional value. That was never the right pick. The 49ers fans are so worried about the offensive line and right tackle, right? And what you're looking at is last week, Dewan Jones, who was on the board, started for the Cleveland Browns at right tackle and had a very good game. And he was on the board. But the 49ers thought they should take a kicker. It's never about Jake Moody. It's about the fact that that was an arrogant pick. An arrogant pick. Nobody takes a kicker. Only Bill Belichick, and their offense is terrible. Maybe if you take shots on football players, things will actually work. So, I don't know what more you want me to say about it. I don't want to talk about the kicker anymore. All he can do is make his kicks, and if he doesn't, whatever, I can't do anything about it. But it was still a horrible pick. It's still a horrible pick. It will be a horrible pick for the rest of NFL history. Nobody drafts kickers, and nobody ever should. It's bad process. It's poor process. Incredibly poor process. You had right tackles on the board. You had edge on the board. You had cornerbacks on the board. You had wide receivers. You had football players. But either way, that's it. Let's see. Two picks in the fourth is a choke. Hopefully he grows from this. We got to keep it real though. I'm not gonna call it a choke. You can do whatever you want, Rigger. Thank you for the donation, man. Um, so yeah, look, I think the only way to really look at this and to really process it is making sure that you understand that this was a full-on loss through all phases. Everything was bad. When you're turning the ball over, you're not going to win games. When your defense can't get off the field on third down, you're not going to win games. When you don't get any pass rush or pressure or sacks, you are not going to win games. When your coaching is not helping out, you are not going to win games. That is absolutely the way you should be looking at this game. The total team loss, 100%. Total team loss. Brian Boucher, the most expensive D line in the league, can't get to the quarterback. There it is. There it is. I mean, that's really what it is. It's like if you would have told me certainties going into the season, I would say this defensive line would be killing it. They would be crushing it right now. They're just not. They are not doing it at all. Um, and then in a game where you needed your offense to kind of lift you a little, at the end of the game, it just didn't happen. But you shouldn't be at a point where all of those things that happened were absolutely preventable, right? Like the fumble, Aaron Banks had a chance to grab it. He basically kicked it away from Christian McCaffrey, and now look, you've got a turnover after a turnover. Uh, the misplay with Ward. I know he went to make the play, but you've got to secure that as a catch, or you have to knock it down. But yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me see. I said Neil said missed my super chat. Thought I got to it. Oh, John Lynch better be on the phone making calls. Chase Young or Patrick Surtain. Neil, I actually want Montez Sweat because he'll be cheaper, and I think he might be good. And Surtain is not going anywhere. Denver's not trading him. So don't get mad at John Lynch because Denver doesn't want to trade Patrick Surtain. They're just not going to do that. But I would absolutely take Montez Sweat as opposed to Chase Young, who like is now playing a little bit better because he's healthy, but he's injured a lot. That's the thing. I like Montez Sweat. So look, uh, this one's gonna suck. This week is going to be tough for 49ers fans. It is going to be really hard. People are going to come at you, and rightfully so. And kind of going back to the point that I was talking about with how when the Philadelphia Eagles barely beat a team, or the Dallas Cowboys barely beat a team, or the Seattle Seahawks lose to the Rams, we're like, oh, they're not like that, right? They're not like that. Look at what happened. Blah, 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 blah. This team. Are you going to start saying that about your team now, too? I'm just asking. Just asking. Because now, look, Seattle's right at the shit. Philadelphia on Sunday night looked like they look like they're clicking. That looked like the team that everybody's afraid of. So when we make fun of the Eagles for struggling with a team or losing to the Jets, or, Seattle, losing to the Rams, when we make fun of them for that, you've got to start looking at your own team in that way and think about what you would say if you weren't a fan of the 49ers. If you're not a fan of the 49ers and you just watch them lose to PJ Walker and the Cleveland Browns, and then you watch them lose to Kirk Cousins and Jordan Addison, no Justin Jefferson, no running game, backup guard, no really good defense, what would you say about the 49ers? What would you say about the 49ers? I think that's the last thing I would like to say before I go. Shout out to everybody for joining, man. 20 minutes, I think this is a good place to end it. But guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Tomorrow, bully ball, sprint right option. It's going to be a tough week to process all this. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of strong opinions. And we're going to be talking about, hey, like, what's up with the coaching staff? How did you come out this flat with an extra day, even with McCaffrey playing? Like, you still had every opportunity to win that game. And yeah, this one's going to be a tough one. So I would advise you guys to stay away from like First Take, Undisputed, all that stuff. I mean, most of the time we do that, right? Like when the games are happening. I mean, when the games happen this way. But this is going to be a tough week. And 49er fans have to kind of look at themselves in the mirror a little bit. And this is the last thing I want to say again. When we make fun of other teams because they lost to another team or struggle with another team, you might got to keep that same energy with your team. Doesn't mean the season's over. Doesn't mean the sky's falling. But right now, the 49ers are struggling after 2 straight losses. And they've got the Cincinnati Bengals, and then this bye week can't come fast enough. And then you know what you got to do after that? You got to go to Jacksonville. And that's not going to be easy either. So this is gut check time for the 49ers. You always want to see how they respond. Well, you want to see how they will respond to adversity, because that's when you learn about teams, you learn about players through adversity. Well, this is it. And this is your gut check time. So with that, I'll leave you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. A lot of content coming down the pipe, I promise. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything like that. All right, cool. Guys, take it easy. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your night, because you're in Cali. It's 8:30. It's 11:30 for me. I just want to play Spider-Man and go to sleep at this point. But we'll tap in with you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for everything, and be safe out there. Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte.